Oh no.
Yeah, I do.
I do.
I got into the musical first.
I grew up with it. We used to watch the 1994 Winona Ryder film adaptation every single year at Christmas time.
And I was just really pulled into the relationships.
And when I got a little older, my mom bought me a copy of the novel so I could read it, and it's still sitting on my bookshelf. I still have it.
And I like to say that Little Women is my favorite story, just in all of its iterations. It's so special every way that it's done, and there's just something about it that just really hits my heart.
Before going into this process, no.
Well, now I do. I didn't grow up with the story. The first time that I experienced the story was, I think in 2014, I saw the musical, actually.
I found it with the 2019 Greta Gerwig movie adaptation.
The Greta Gerwig adaptation.
The Greta Gerwig movie.
But I still love it nonetheless.
And then the rest of my experience has been working on this production. You know, I'm reading the book and I'm watching the other adaptations and all that. But it's been a blessing and a real joy to experience, like truly experience the story for the first time.
So beforehand, no, but now, probably. Probably, let's be honest. Yeah.
With Amy, I feel like she's the misunderstood one of the March Bunch because she's so young comparatively to the other sisters, and as such, she makes a lot of little kid blunders.
Amy's such a brat at the beginning.
Which we brush off, we push aside.
She's so young and she's so narrow-minded in how she views the world. Just like how kids are. Kids are selfish like that. And I think what's really admirable about Amy is that, you know, she feels so much like she's in Joe's shadow for so much of her life, with her creative side, how she's an artist and Joe's an artist and she's a writer. And in Laurie's eyes, how she always feels like she's in the shadow of Joe in that romantic aspect.
Which is a really big challenge that Amy goes through throughout the shows, feeling like she's left out. And I found playing her, I've become so protective of her, almost like an older sister. So I feel like I have an older sister relationship with Amy.
She strives to be something great on her own and to provide for her family in a way that is special to her.
How do I feel about my characters? There's so much that goes into that. I love them both so much for very different reasons. Beth and I are both people who, one of the things that we can give in spades in any kind of relationship with someone is like, I can give my time to be here with you. I can be emotionally vulnerable with you. I can empathize rather than just sympathize. It's very much a skill, and it's something that you have to work on and something that you have to get comfortable with. And of course I'm not perfect at it. Absolutely far from it. I am so young, I have so much to work on. But it's a solid start, and Beth has that same thing. Yeah, I love her so much.
It's funny because I'm playing Meg, and I never really related to Meg growing up. Out of all the four sisters, she was probably the one I related to the least because I was the baby of the family. I'm an only child, I don't have any siblings, but on both sides of my family, I'm the youngest. I have a ton of older cousins, so I was always treated like the baby. So I felt a lot like Amy growing up, and I always wanted to be treated like older than I was. But I was also a writer, and I loved to write, and I loved to play piano, so I related to both Joe and Beth in those ways. But I never really understood Meg until I got a little bit older, and I really started to see a lot of similarities between myself and Meg. You know, we both tend to be the peacekeeper amongst friends or family. We don't like to have any fighting going on. We are both kind of perfectionists in certain ways, and I have really loved getting to explore Meg in this production.
But Laurie, I love for totally different reasons. He is someone who has all of these opportunities before him, all of these expectations, all because they're so different from my own. Although I might not feel similarly to him, I get him. He went on for so long knowing about that deep-seated love between him and Joe, and I won't give any spoilers in case people don't know. Yes, he's messy, but I think if he's seen as someone who's like, oh, this guy's hopeless, why is he acting the way that he does? That cuts off some of our humanity.
Jo March is a well-loved literary figure, and for good reason. I love her too. I think a lot of people relate to her. I mean, I know I certainly do. I mean, there's something in all the March sisters that I think people can find themselves in. But Jo especially, she's, as our protagonist, she's messy, she's flawed, she's weird and wild and full of heart and love and passion. She knows what she wants and she believes she deserves it. She believes in herself.
Online productions are challenging, you know, it's, of course.
It's different, for sure.
It's understandably very different than in an in-person production.
Being in an online production can be challenging, for sure.
There are things I absolutely love about it. There are things that, God, I wish I was back in a theater. That'd be great.
You know, of course it's hard with all the intimacy and stuff and trying to feel like we're in the same room and connecting with each other even though we're across the country.
And there is life going on all around me.
The rehearsal process, I really miss physical touch with my other actors sometimes.
Like, people are continuing to live their lives. They don't care about what I'm doing down here.
Zoom and the internet are not nearly as reliable as we wish they were.
They're playing the new Ariana Grande album. Like, their cars honking outside, picking up the trash.
So it's been weird, but it's been lovely.
Hey, I'm in my room. I can be as ridiculous as I want to be.
It's always surprising and wonderful to make genuine connections and to really feel that spark, even when you're all by yourself in a corner of your basement.
That's what I think is so special about theater, is it really, even in like these really weird times and how hard it is to do a production online, we're finding these ways to get creative about it and to really connect with each other right now.
It's got its upsides and its downsides.
Lots of highs, lots of lows. You find a way to balance.
So it's been challenging and uplifting in a million different ways.
And it's been really lovely.
And I am really excited to see how everyone reacts to it. I think this story is more relevant now than ever.
We've all been stuck home right now, and more than ever, it's been really important to be able to play and feel like you can play and still have fun when you're shut indoors and still feel like you can make those human connections. So even when we're far away, I think we've proven that it's still possible. And even if the audience doesn't come away with that, which I sincerely hope they do, I have, and it's been a really, really lovely process, and I would not change it for the world.
It's really nice to do a play that is about the relationships between people and how that changes. Because everyone is changing so much right now. I know I am.
To focus on these stories and like how we connect and how we comfort each other. Just these truths about human nature is just really special.
With everything going on, it feels so big and so scary. It's easy to get overwhelmed and forget that life is made up of small moments, and life is made up of small, beautiful interactions that are worth it and that are worth our stories. And that's what Little Women does so beautifully. It honors them, it reveres them for the sacred things that they are.
And I also think it's a story about growing up and letting go and I know that's something that I've had to go through a lot recently, and it's something that everyone goes through, and I think there's a lot of pain, but also joy that can be found in growing up and letting go of childhood.
For good and for bad, whatever that means, but growing, especially since all the cast members were all quite young, and knowing that we have so much life ahead of us, and so much is going to change, and learning to be okay with that is something that working on Little Women in particular is very good for.
Little Women, yes, it's a story about family, and it's a story about home, and it's an artist's journey, and it's a story about love, and it's a story about loss. So for all those reasons, it spans culture, it spans age, it spans experience, right? It is very human.
I think in that way, Little Women will always be relevant.
Right on his head. Why does the winkle always turn to the left when he comes down to breakfast in the morning? The answer is the winkle shell turn.
That's that.
Yay.
Yay!